Get ready for an epic collaboration as MB Radio and Patriot Radio join forces. These veteran-owned stations are uniting to bring you top-notch, veteran-run podcasts, along with your favorite classic rock music 24/7. Stay tuned for the ultimate radio experience that celebrates our heroes and plays the tunes that never get old. From engaging discussions to timeless hits, this partnership has everything you need for your listening pleasure. Don't miss out on this exciting new chapter in radio history as MB Radio and Patriot Radio come together to rock your world.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Tracer Round Podcast. A tracer round is a type of ammunition designed to help visually track the path of rounds fired. Tracers show where you need to adjust or redirect fire. Join Army veteran Sergeant First Class Terry Lynch for Tracer Rounds, the first ever podcast of its type. Whether it be military, music, sports, politics, education, relationships, or gender issues, no target is off limits or out of bounds. Are you on target? Or does your fire need to be recalibrated? Whether you adjust fire or fire for effect, tune in to Tracer Rounds, where the range is always open and there are rounds going down range.
Hi, welcome to Tracer Rounds. My name is Terry. I'm your host. And today in studio, I have with me Operation Song. I have Mike Byer. And I am so excited to have them, Operation Song and Mike, in the studio tonight because music is near and dear to my heart. And veterans are near and dear to my heart. And what they do is put both of those things. So I'm super excited to welcome Mike to the studio. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I know that you're a veteran, and I wanted to talk just a little bit about your service. So can you tell me just what branch, and you tell me your MOS, and just tell me some of the highlights of your career before we get started?
Yeah, so I've got kind of a unique career. I served in two branches in the military. I started out in the Air Force. I entered the Air Force in early '92. Wasn't quite what I was looking for, so I left the Air Force and joined the Army, and spent the rest of my career there. I did 21 years in the Army. I served primarily with Army Aviation. Started out as a maintainer, did a lot of things in my career. I was a drill sergeant. Got into UAVs at the end of my career, dabbled in that a little bit. and then retired in 2014 out of the 101st at Fort Campbell.
Wow, that sounds like an interesting career for sure, being in both branches. Which one did you like the best?
Oh, the Army, of course. Yeah, it's when I went into the
Of
Air
course.
Force, when I went into the Air Force initially, you know, I couldn't pick my job, and so I got stuck in a job that I just didn't want, and didn't look like there was any way out of it. So, the Army was a lot more agreeable with things I wanted to do. And there's always opportunities to do something else as well, and that's what I loved about it.
Very nice. So I wanted to talk about Operation Song. Can you just tell our audience kind of what it is? I mean, I read through it and I understand it. I want to kind of give our audience a chance to catch up with what I already know.
Sure. Yeah. Operation Song. We are a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Nashville, Tennessee. Our mission is to empower veterans, active duty military, and their families to tell their stories through the process of songwriting. We started this in 2012. Our founder, Bob Regan, he's a very famous songwriter. He's written for Keith Urban, Trisha Yearwood, George Strait, many others. Just an incredible guy with a great heart for our military and their family members. And he got this idea when he was doing armed forces tours in the Middle East in the early 2000s. He would talk to the soldiers after the show and realize that they had some incredible stories, and he wanted to use his skills as a songwriter to help them tell those stories. So he came back to Nashville and he kicked the idea around with some other songwriters that he knew, and started Operation Song in 2012. Since then, we've written over 1,800 songs with veterans from World War II, all the way up to post 9/11, Gold Star families, everybody involved in the military community. We don't just write with veterans; we write with family members as well, because we know they served just as much. So we go all over the country doing this. We from Texas to Wisconsin to New York to Florida. Next year, we're headed out to California. Anywhere we can get support and find some veterans to write with, that's what we're going to try to do. But it's an incredible organization, and the work we do is really invaluable. We don't call it therapy. There's a therapeutic side to it, of course, but I like to think of it as being both educational, and the history value of it. We capture stories, from veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and of course present day. But we also capture these individual stories that you probably will never hear anywhere else, from different perspectives as well. And so it's just an incredible organization that I think paints a complete picture of what it's like to serve and be in the military community.
I think that's such an awesome mission. And I love the testimonials I've read about it, how people are so excited to really kind of hear their story, and it helps them heal. And I noticed that you have a bunch of fundraisers and different golf outings and things like that. Can you tell me how that works into supporting this mission?
Yeah, so we never charge veterans or their families a dime for our services. When you come and write a song with us, everything is free, and so we operate strictly off of grants and donations, and the generosity of others. And so we do things like golf tournaments and shows. We have a big end of year showcase that we do every year here in Nashville, that highlights some of the songs and the veterans that we wrote with throughout the year. And of course, our webpage, we take donations through there. But yeah, that's primarily how we keep the lights on, how we keep going.
That's pretty amazing that you're able to do that. I saw all the different songs that were on the webpage. So what is what's done with those songs? Do the artists actually try to perform them anywhere, or do sometimes the service member, do they do something with them? What's done with those?
Well, for the majority of the songs, they simply are written, and then a demo is cut, and that's kind of it. All our songs live on. We use a website now called Bandcamp, and so you can go to Bandcamp and look up Operation Song and see the majority of our songs are on there. We do have some artists that have cut songs with us. Mostly they're songwriters, and nobody has officially cut or released one of our songs yet. We do have some of our songs on streaming platforms though, but it's just that's never our intention to try to get these cut and get them on the radio. That would be great if it happens, but trying to do that in the music industry in this day and age is really so difficult. I mean, it's like trying to win the lottery to get anybody to even hear your song. So we focus on the mission of telling these stories, and we get them out there as best we can. But it's the veteran who is the one who's spreading their song around and sharing it with their friends and their family. And that's really the best part of all this is that, veterans often tell us things that they've never told anybody. And when they can put it into a song and then they could go play that song for their friends and their family members, it just opens up a whole new conversation because now they've learned things that they never knew, or they understand, certain aspects of their fathers or their brothers or their, sisters, whoever. And, it's I call it ripple effects, to each one of these songs. So yeah, it's a long answer for, we don't really focus on trying to get it out there and get an artist to cut it. If that ever happens, it's great. But it's never our first priority.
So how does someone, if they're a veteran or a family member of a veteran, how do they go about working with a songwriter to get a song out there? Like if they're not in Nashville, they're not in Texas, they're not in one of the cities where you are, would they travel to you? Would they just send you a message? Like what's the process if someone isn't located where you're going to be?
Yeah, it's really easy. You can just go to our website, and there's a tab there, I believe it says "Get Involved," and you can sign up to write a song um, there online. And once you sign up, then we send you we have just some small paperwork that we've got to fill out. But from there, we can pair you up with a songwriter, and we have what's called our virtual songwriting program, which has been sponsored by ACM Lifting Lives. And that allows us, through using Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, whichever platform you want to use, that allows us to write with veterans and their family members across the country. I think this year alone, our virtual program, we've probably written close to 90 songs just in our virtual program. And the great thing about that is that, it allows the songwriter and the veteran to kind of work at their own schedule. They can figure out what works best for them, and it may involve a couple of conversations, but usually within a week, the song is complete and the veteran has it.
That's really cool. I really like that you're able to do that on a virtual platform and really engage, whoever or wherever they are in this process by just virtual means. I mean, like you can be literally anywhere in the world these days, and collaborate with somebody. I think that's such a great way to handle it and a great way to engage our veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was probably the only good thing that came out of COVID. When COVID hit, we weren't able to, of course, do a lot of in-person events, and so we found that to be just as successful. I mean, nothing will ever replace the face-to-face interaction, of being in a retreat or things like that. But it allowed us to keep operating and to keep writing stories. So. it worked out.
Well, that's awesome. We're going to go to a quick break and we'll be back with Operation Song in just a moment.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here to lie. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
Hi, welcome back to Tracer Rounds on NBR and Patriot Radio. Today in studio, I have Mike Byer with Operation Song, and I'm so excited to have him here. He is talking about how veteran stories are being put to music, being put to a song, and then kind of given to them in prosperity to kind of share with family and friends and to just kind of remember those stories from their time in service, and just to kind of make a historical record, really, of his service, or his or her service, as it were, and just kind of help heal the wounds maybe of war by getting the word out there. Mike, welcome back. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm so excited to have you here, because I do think that music heals the heart and the soul. And so I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. For me, it was that exact thing. Music is therapy, and why not use music to heal us? Because I mean, if you look at the military, music is kind of part of our culture from the day we enter service to the day we leave. Whether we're marching in cadence and singing a song, or running, or moving around on the parade field to the bugle commands or the band. It's music has always been kind of a tradition in the military, and so it just makes sense that we kind of use that to continue on and help us work through some things.
Yeah, I agree. It builds camaraderie and esprit de corps. I mean, just like the song we just had on by Cafe Anderson. I mean, Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I mean, it doesn't get more patriotic than that, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so many of our songs. It's a lot of times the veterans come in and they say, I really don't have anything to talk about. I don't have a story. I don't have anything, and the songwriters, they typically laugh because they know that after talking for about 30 minutes, it's just going to start pouring out because if you've served in the military, served your country in any way, that you've got some stories to tell. And our founder Bob Regan, he always jokes and he says it never doesn't work. When we sit down and get a veteran talking, that there's always going to be a song that comes out of it.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I wondered if there's sometimes when people say, like you said, I don't have a story. I don't have anything to say. Like, my service wasn't memorable. Like, there's nothing I can put down that would make somebody go, oh wow, that sounds really neat, or that's fascinating. Or do you have people that say that kind of thing? And then how do you work past that?
I mean, all the time. It happens all the time. I was that way. I went and sat down and I didn't think I had anything to discuss, and I really didn't want to talk about anything. But these songwriters, the beauty of the songwriters is, 99% of them never served in the military in any way. So when they sit down with a veteran and the veteran starts talking and they're throwing out acronyms and they're throwing out places and things that involve the military, they ask the dumb questions because they don't know, they don't understand the language, and they've not heard it before, so they ask the questions, and then that of course engages the veteran, and they begin to talk more and they loosen up, and usually about after 45 minutes to an hour, they get comfortable and they start talking about what's important to them. And it could be any number of things. It could be, one guy wrote about his dog, one guy wrote about um, his first house that he bought after the military because he lived in government quarters his entire career. One guy wrote about how he just felt so guilty because he fought the battle fight. He stayed in the command post during combat, and he watched the battle from a screen basically, and he struggled with that. Another guy was a bugler who, he said, he goes, I really don't have an interesting story or really anything to talk about combat wise. He says, but I don't think anybody's ever heard the perspective uh, of a bugler who has played taps over 1,000 times at funerals. Um, so it's from, and then to look at the family side of it. We had a Gold Star mother who we wrote a song with her. Her song was actually called Gold Star Mom, and after she was finished, she said, my biggest fear was that my son would be forgotten, but Operation Song has ensured that that will never happen. And so it's the stories they vary so much, and you never know what you're going to hear. Um, and honestly, we very rarely hear combat stories. Um, most veterans, they want to talk about, someone they served with, somebody that, they want to honor in their song, a family member. They want to talk about home. They want to talk about, a certain situation. Um, but, and we never try to, provoke any sort of combat story. We don't go into it saying, well, tell me about your dirt. Tell me your worst combat story you're, involved in. We never do that. We don't encourage that. We want them to talk about what's important to them. And, so it's just basically it starts out as a conversation with the songwriter saying, hey, just tell me about yourself. And then the questions start. And so it's a very non-threatening and easy process. But out of it, at the end of the day, there always comes this amazing song and story. So yeah, it's pretty much how it works.
That's really cool. Did you get your own song too? Sound like you did.
I did. So we started this in 2012, and I was going through a medical retirement after Afghanistan, and at the time, my son had graduated high school, so I'm retiring at the very same time my son was graduating and going to basic training. Um, so he and I fought about that a lot. I didn't want him to join. Honestly, I was angry at the Army at the time. I didn't want to get out. But he always wanted to be a soldier. That's what he wanted to do. And so he joined. And as he was graduating, or as he was going through basic training, he sent me a letter from Fort Benning. And in the letter, he said, Dad, he said, I'm sorry that we fought. He said, I understand now what you were trying to tell me. And he says, I know you're retiring and you're not going to wear your uniform anymore. He says, but can you wear it one last time for me and present me my infantry cord at basic training graduation? So of course I did. And that was, the very last time I wore my uniform, was standing there on that field with my son. And it was such a powerful time. I always say that was my retirement ceremony, and kind of a passing of the torch moment. And so the following weekend after that, our founder, Bob Regan, had invited me to a retreat down on Music Row in Nashville. And I didn't really want to go. I don't know anything about songwriting and what this was all about, but reluctantly I went. And I sat down with two amazing songwriters, Mark Beeson and Travis Meadows, two guys I'd never heard of in the world. But, after the fact, I looked them up, and they had written these amazing hits for all these great artists, and, just really nice guys. And it just started out this, like I said, a conversation. I say, just tell me about your military career. And so, I gave them my elevator pitch of my 21 years. And, one of the songwriters, Travis, he picked up on that I had just, returned from my son's graduation. And, he could tell that was very important to me because of the way my voice changed and, the excitement I got about it. And so that's where he picked up his pen, or his pencil, and he just started writing. He was literally writing word for word every single thing I said, exactly like I said it. And probably in the span of about 45 minutes, he asked me one more question, and he wrote the title at the top of the page. The title of the song was called "Over the Wire," and it was a song about my retirement and my son joining the Army. And he picked up his guitar, and he never strummed a chord before that, never hummed a tune, anything. He just picked up his guitar and he started playing this song back to me. And it was so incredible. And it was, my son and I, through his graduation, we had, of course, mended fences and things like that. But having that song to then, kind of capture that moment, it really made us a lot closer. And the great thing about that song is I perform it a lot. I'll go places and I'll sing it. And, whenever I do, it never fails. Somebody comes up afterwards and they say, man, that's me and my dad's song, or that's me and my son's song. So, it goes back to that, thing I talked about with ripple effects, is that, when we share our stories, whether we think we have one or not, And when we share them, other people are affected by that because they can relate to it and they can understand it. So, yeah, that was my experience with it. And, I've seen it work, 1,800 times. It's just amazing to, just the variation of stories that you hear, is just incredible. Yeah, it's just incredible.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's such a moving story, and I'm really glad they did that for you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish talking to Mike with Operation Song. So we're going to enjoy some music by Ryan Spencer.
Another regular day, nobody knows. It's that time, he's coming home to them from a foreign land. He pulls up, his mama cries, looks at daddy with tears in his eyes and says, nothing feels better than this. Couple of months go by and no one sees. Something just ain't right, all he wants is peace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free and put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again. He gets help, but he still feels off. Sees an ad on the TV about a dog batting said, this is a man's best friend. Whoa, so he goes one day and he picks it up. Never thought a dog could bring so much love and put a smile on his face. But he's finally found a saving grace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again. Whoa, whoa. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hi, welcome back to Tracer Rounds. You're on MBR Patriot Radio. We're now on Amazon Fire TV and Roku. And today in the studio, I have with me Mike Byer of Operation Song, and I'm so excited about it. And we've been talking about how the work that they do helps veterans and their families heal from wounds of war, or just maybe just kind of reliving good times in the service and feeling that connectivity or that connection with something that's been kind of lost. But Mike, I wanted to ask you, if someone were to register for one of those work sessions that you have, what would they do? And then what does that look like? How many days is that? How many hours is that? What type of thing would they expect?
Well, if you're talking about the virtual program, very simple. You go to our website, operationsong.org. There's a Get Involved tab on there. You sign into, you fill out the paperwork. We will then pair you with a songwriter and connect you through email, and you guys can then schedule, a time and a day that works best for you to talk. It could be a phone call, it could be a Zoom call, it could be FaceTime, any one of those that you prefer. Some veterans want to come to Nashville and write in person, and they often do that if they're kind of close to the area. But if you do the virtual program, you can usually get paired with a songwriter within a couple of weeks. And then, of course, you guys schedule it out on your own. And then it's usually one or two conversations, usually taking probably a couple hours each. And when I say that, it's not always just the veterans, not just there to talk. They are there to act as a songwriter as well. We treat them as a songwriter because we want you involved in the process. We don't want to do it for you. We want to help you do it because that's part of the healing process of all of it. It's not just saying these things, but taking them out of your head and helping the songwriter put them into a format, the format of a song. And that there's a lot to that when you can take your thoughts and put them down on paper and make sense of them. It's like putting a puzzle together. And when you put that puzzle together and you make it rhyme and you give it structure of a song and you give it a melody, there's something really powerful and healing about that. So that whole process from start to finish is really simple. And again, it's, you and the songwriter schedule that on your own time to, which is most convenient. But it's usually no more than one or two calls, usually maybe a couple hours a piece. And your song will more than likely be done within a week and a half.
That's awesome. So, but you were talking about that you're going to have a workshop in Banderas, Texas. And if you're going to a workshop, do veterans come to that, or is that for something totally different?
So when we go to Bandera, we work specifically with an organization called Warriors Heart. And Warriors Heart is an inpatient facility for veterans and first responders with addiction. So we work primarily with the veterans and first responders that they have there at their facility. We do retreats around the country, but primarily the retreats that we do when we go to different states, we have a partner organization that we work with there. And the veterans and their family members usually come from within that partner organization. So it's unless you are part of one of these organizations or know about them, it's a little more difficult to get involved in an actual retreat. So that's where the virtual songwriting program comes in best for most veterans and their family members. Now, if you are a veteran or family member out there and you would like to have a retreat in your local area, and if we can get sponsors and enough support to do it, we'll go anywhere to make it happen. So it's as simple. If anyone is interested in doing that, they can reach out to us at contact@operationsong.org, and we'll reach out to them, and we'll start that conversation.
Well, that's exciting. I'm glad that you have that opportunity to work with veterans, and that you have also the opportunity to work with those that are in getting care currently, and then maybe that helps with the healing process as well. So I did read something online about internships. Do you have interns that work with you that are maybe in some kind of degree program or something with one of the local colleges in Nashville?
We've had some interns work with us in the past. We currently don't have an intern at the moment. We actually interviewed one earlier this week who is considering coming on with us. But yeah, we do have a few internships. Um, and volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers to help out. We have a pretty small staff, uh, three full time staff, and actually four full time staff and one part time. But four of us are doing the majority of the work as far as the events go. So it's a lot of work, and for I think we probably in total on an annual basis, we probably do close to 40 events, separate events throughout the year. And that's a lot of work. So we're always looking for volunteers or for interns to help out.
Wow, that's a lot of work for that small of a staff. So I have to give you a lot of credit for organizing that and getting that off the ground, because, 3, 4 people, wow. I mean, it takes just that many just to have a meeting, let alone put on an event. So I applaud your efforts there for sure.
Well, and we have, and when we go out across the country, we've got a network of local coordinators too that help us put on these events, and so they're a huge blessing for us, and many of them have ties to the program as well. Either a family member went through or they went through themselves, and so it is a large amount of work. But we do have some great people in the community that really go above and beyond to help us do these things. But I tell you, my staff, they're phenomenal. They're all great, and I couldn't, definitely couldn't do this without them. They're just wonderful.
So you're mentioning volunteers. How does somebody volunteer? Do they just go to your website? Do they fill out a form? What does a volunteer application look like to come and work with you?
Yeah, same process. Get involved, and if you're a veteran, a songwriter, or a volunteer, you can get involved all on operationsong.org.
And I've got the social media sites up there, your website, and then Facebook is Operation Song. Um,
Mhm.
so I guess what I would want to know is um, how many songwriters do you actually have that work with people, and are they like they're volunteers, but how do you engage them to want to come? Do they just volunteer, or do you go out looking for volunteers, or for songwriters, or storytellers? What do you do?
Well, the beauty of this was our founder, Bob Regan. He had been in Nashville, a very successful songwriter for 30 plus years in Nashville, and so he came with quite a network of songwriters that we started with, and really, we don't go out and recruit. We're getting ready for our very first time to have a kind of a songwriter reception to bring in some new songwriters here in August. But really, up to this point, it's been by word of mouth from songwriters who have participated with us, and we do that for a reason. We want our songwriters to be comfortable sitting down with a veteran and being able to write a song and perform it all in the same day. Um, and so it takes a special person to be able to do that, and with certain skills. And so most of our songwriters have come through recommendations of those who have written with us in the past. We probably have, I would say, 75 songwriters in our pool. 25 of them are very regular, write with us very regularly. But we're always looking for new songwriters. But the ones that we have, they're just phenomenal, and they've all, I mean, not every one of them has hit, had a number one hit, but many of them have top 10 hits, and have just, very connected and very, very talented, and very skilled in what they do.
It's awesome. I'm glad you have that many volunteers and many people that are willing to work with veterans to help them tell their stories. We're going to take another quick break. It'll be the last one, and then we'll come back with Operation Song, and we'll kind of wrap up our conversation and see how we can all help and get involved by donation, by volunteering hours, whatever we can do.
Been home about 6 months now, and I still have my doubts. Well, I'm not sure how I got here or how I'm gonna get out. Well, my mama says I look the same as I did before I left, but if she could see inside of me, it would scare her to death. I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Last Saturday they honored us in a small parade downtown, and when they shot off those fireworks, I nearly hit the ground. And while they smiled and cheered for us, all I could do was stare, 'cause part of me is here at home, but part of me's back there. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. They taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Yeah, there's no end in sight, 'cause even though I'm home now, I'm still fighting for my life. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Well, the devil's won some battles, and he may win some more, but don't he know the American soldier will always win the war?
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hi, welcome back to Tracer Rounds. I'm Terry, your host, and we're on NBR Radio, Patriot Radio, and now on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. And welcome back to the show. And we're talking to Mike Byer of Operation Song. They have such a wonderful mission, and I want to be sure that I know we've kind of went through everything, but is there anything else that you wanted to tell us that we don't know yet or that we should think about? Because I really want your message to get out there. I really want people to volunteer and help you out. So what can we do for you? How can we share your message and get the word out?
Well, one, I just encourage anybody that's a veteran or family member to go to Operation Song and sign up to write a song. Tell your story. Um, the more stories and songs that we do, the better that we can help others understand. What it's like to serve our nation and serve our country. Um, and again, we do all of this, free of charge. So, donations are, primarily how we keep going. Any nonprofit, 68% of their funding comes from personal donors. So, if you want to help us continue to write these songs and stories, we definitely need your help. And if you go to operationsong.org, you can sign up to do that. You can give a one-time donation, but what really makes a difference is if you could sign up to be a recurring donor. Even as little as $10 a month goes a long way to really help us, continue our mission. So, and again, if you're someone who wants to have one of our retreats or events in your local area, and you're interested in helping and sponsoring that and working towards that, reach out to us at contact@operationsong.org, and we'd love to talk to you about it.
That's I don't even know how to begin to say thank you for what you do and for what your company does. I mean, it's definitely making a difference. I can tell. I read some of the testimonials and I just saw how much it meant to. I watched some of the videos and I just saw how much it meant to those people that were able to get the message or their message out or their word out about their service or about what they felt about their service and all that. So I really want to thank you for that because I know the mission you have is making a difference.
Yeah, it's for me, I got medically retired from the Army. I didn't want to get out, but this has allowed me to continue to serve and stay connected with the military community. And we're helping veterans every day and their family members. And I think one of the best things I've ever heard from a veteran is that he said two people. One said that Operation Song literally saved my life. Gave me hope again and gave me a reason to live. And another veteran said that whenever she struggles with thinking about the situation that she was in, she goes, she doesn't have to think about it anymore. She just plays her song, and everything's okay. So when we know that we're doing things like that, we know we're doing the right things, and it makes all the hard work worthwhile for sure.
Yes, I can only imagine. I would just love to watch somebody in person, just love to watch somebody hear the song played back and just see that level of connection with the words and with the melody and with how that impacts them. I think I would just about do anything to see that because I just can't imagine the joy that must bring the songwriter to help that veteran with that message. I think it'd just be a lot to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Our songwriters, they say all the time they get as much out of this as the veterans do. And for them, they get to use their craft and their talent for something that's more worthy than writing for the radio. They get to really help somebody and tell a real story, a true story. And so, Terry, you're a veteran yourself. Yeah, I mean, sign up to write a song. You should do it. It's a great experience.
Well, I think I'm kind of like what you said is like, I don't think I have a story, but we do have a couple of comments that came in from a couple of podcasters that are also on NBR and Patriot Radio. Um, Red said, hey, you're doing a good thing. And then fire social worker, Joey, he said, thanks for what you do. So we do want to thank you for what you do, because we truly know what you're doing. The work you're doing is important, and it's important to our veteran community. And so, we so appreciate your service, your continued service to veterans. Being a veteran yourself, you understand that mission and you understand that mindset. And so I think it's only someone that's been there and done that can really, empathize and sympathize and get it and understand what the veteran on the other end of it is feeling, and is how it's moving them and impacting them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely, I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm definitely blessed to be able to be doing this, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for coming here tonight. We're going to play our closer because we're going to have to end right on time. But I so appreciate you. I contacted you out of the blue, and I know it was kind of like, who is this person and why is she contacting me? But I so appreciate you just, believing that it was a real thing and believing in me to interview you tonight. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, your interest in the program, and for helping us get the word out. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, this is Tracer Rounds signing off, and we're going to go to the closing.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like